the highest bliss you've ever imagined, whatever that is. Imagine that available to everybody right now, like perfect as you are. So then you imagine that and you say, please take it, and then bribe the beings that have reached enlightenment to come and teach you stuff. Yeah, it's a bribe. But first you got to imagine perfect. So let's do that, Steve.
Sashim Pukir Jishin Metzotram Viral Dinshin Yundem Padi Sangye Shindu Mite Vardi Drohin Namda Shinra Shiparsho Idam Guru Ratnamandalakam Niryatayami Sangye Chidam Sohi Choknamba Chanchu Bardu Dani Katsuchi Dahi Shinyan Gipe Sanamki Dralavanshir Sangye Triparsho Sangye Chiran Soki Choknamba Janchu Bardu Dapni Yapsushi Dahi Shinyan Gipe Sanamki Drola Benchir Sangye Triparsho Sangye Chiran Soki Choknamba Janchu Bardu Dapni Yapsuchi Dahi Shinyan Gipe Sanamki Drola Benchir Sangye Triparsho.
Hi, welcome, take a seat. Now I have to do something silly, okay? It's a really dear, dear friend's birthday, and she's all the way in the West Coast. I told her we would FaceTime her before class. I forgot. I have to be a good friend, so you can all just say happy birthday. Can you do that? Yeah. Her name is Danielle Karuna, which means compassion. Yeah. How do you do FaceTime? You go to the face and you do time.
Do it for your computer.
No, because then she won't be able to see you, so I can turn around and go. Come on. And she did a very, very special thing today, which I'm not allowed to tell you.
What?
Right, Stephen? Stephen knows. Jeffine. There she is. She'll be driving to Los Angeles.
Happy birthday! Welcome to ACI. Hi, Chris. Oh, you're gonna see the view, okay? See if you can wave at her. Can she see you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I don't know what the view is. It's just so sunny and warm here. Happy birthday, we're about to start. Yeah, quickly, the ocean, quickly. How did it go?
Where did you go?
I'm here, you press pause. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at this.
Let's quickly see the ocean.
How do I stop? Again. Flip.
There you go, guys and girls.
Nice.
Ocean in the West Coast. Yeah, thank you. We're raining hot and sweaty in New York.
We love you.
We love you.
I love you.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
No, we've got to go. Look, we've got to go. Look, there's all these people waiting. Bye. If you've met an angel, that's one. Yeah. Thank you for doing that. And I hope someone surprises you on your birthday.
In front of a huge audience.
In front of a huge audience. It's a big day today on so many different levels. Anyway, let's talk wisdom. We began this book called the Bodhisattva Charivatara, and we're on the 9th chapter of that book, and it's all about wisdom. Yeah. We just touched on one thing last week, which was what's this illusion thing, and what is it that we're doing to perpetuate suffering in our lives? So we looked, I think, at a 6-part cause and effect to summarize the aspect of the chapter that says wisdom can slash all suffering, but first you've got to understand what's causing the suffering. And he said the illusion, there's something in us that is forcing us to perceive the world in a certain way, and the way we interact with it actually causes our suffering. And so that was last class, and I didn't cover any of the other stuff, which is sort of minutia on that chapter, and it's an exquisite chapter with beautiful words that make you think about how to engage with reality, but not in the normal way of thinking things are out there. It's slowly digging in and removing the idea that there's something you can do to move the chairs that would ever get you happy, and it's getting you all the way into the core of perception, the core of your mind. And when you find that something, that wisdom, then you can go real cause and really cause freedom from suffering, which is complete bliss and enlightenment and all those promises from these teachings. There's no other reason for doing this, by the way, for sitting here. Meditation by nature is boring as that shit. Like, you don't want to sit there. Sorry, it's probably got a name. What is it? No, what's that shit's name? Guano, yeah. It's as boring as that. But just sitting down quietly, it's just boring. But engaging the mind in a precise way about something can deliver you to that insight. And that is something. But meditation like this for the rest of your life doesn't do anything. Yes, you might be less bad blood pressure or something, so you can still diet or something. So it's to remove the idea that there is something you can do out there, even meditating or even studying. The point of these classes is to say, please listen. There's something in there that we're doing that is the cause of all the things we're being tripped up about. If you find it, you don't have to go and move the vase or anything to be happy. You just change the lens, reality changes. It's not out there, it's in here. So he's digging us deeper and deeper to find that thing, and because we're thick, he's like, not that, no, not that, no, not that, and so he's putting up our own natural way of saying, oh, if things are empty, then they don't exist at all. And he's like, no, not that either. It's like, oh, then if they exist, they must exist by themselves. Oh, no, not that either. You know, so he's like slapping us into a impossible place from the worldview that we currently hold. And that's the middle way. He's dragging us into the middle way. Yeah. So in essence, what he covered last week is our search for happiness in the wrong way. There's no amount of getting anything that will get us happy. He says, give that up. But there is a way to get happy, and what we're doing is an it. Proof? Oh, here's some proof. did that today.
That's not what it is.
That's what we did today. Literally. He made money.
Those are the old days.
Yeah.
Those couldn't even today.
Yes, sorry, not that either. Like a 6.
Missing big toe. Oh my god.
Sorry. So
That
it's
is
just to
amazing.
remove any illusion that you.
Oh my god.
Welcome to happiness. Now Buddhism says that's not going to make you happy, none of those things. But it also says they don't not make you happy. Whoa. Yeah, they won't make you happy if you think there's something in them that will make you happy. You failed from the beginning. Yeah. Any of those things, or the good and the bad, can make you happy. It's not in the things. That's really what we're discussing. So, the beginning of all these classes, you get to socialize, get to know each other. Who's the weirdo who's also studying these ideas? What are their names? I know you. So I'll put you in 4 groups, mostly so you can socialize and think of last week's ideas. So we're ready for this week's ideas. This is the first time this has happened where I haven't taught last week's ideas for you to do the quizzes properly. So I'm going to do an experiment. There's some people who did this course in detail, Asian Classics Institute course 12, yeah, 12. Put up your hand. Good, good. Is your hand up? Good, Rachel, hand up. So Alana, did you do it? No. So you guys can help each other. Maybe.
Sure.
Actually, no. You can go that corner and help that corner. You two can hold this corner. Rachel, you hold that corner. Sarah, you hold that corner. Yeah. And Stephen, you can be the distributor. Yeah, of the corners. So there is a quiz with the answers, so you can cheat. Yeah. Here's one more. And please get to know each other, think through the concepts. What I would love is if whoever's got the question, put all your names down on the paper. Whoever's got the question, ask the question and don't give me some bullshit Buddhist answer. Yeah, give me like what you think might be the real answer to that question, as obscure as the Buddhist questions are. And in that, investigate the answer, and then someone's got the cheat sheet, you can figure out the answer, yeah? But enjoy yourselves and imagine that you are Arya Nagarjuna, you know, trying to find the ultimate happiness. You can have that whole group, and they have that group. Yeah. Stephen can help you.
All right. Yeah.
You built the.
I do. All right. I'm gonna go around and ask everyone. Just say your names as we go.
Okay, we'll just dive in. Basically, our idea is
There is no better guy.
I read it. The first question says, why good or bad deeds are like an illusion?
He was because they wanted to see secret, we haven't talked about anything. So but it was all they said about
It says, explain why good and bad deeds are like an illusion and yet still function perfectly well.
And then the other night was yesterday. So when she started teaching
Function like why it's still works.
so if there are
Good deeds are
it's not idea of good and bad, which are created. So then it's sort of like but you become your reality. And only the higher without getting materialized or
they work just as well as we thought they had before we found out they were illusions. They're like illusion because the person doing them is the deed itself and the object of the deed is all consistent.
It's actually happy, are there 9 or 10
Function perfectly
But I think we're in the
well
8 side of it.
to produce the body.
So anyways, we're learning this stuff. The first question we can start to talk about actions and nature of reality. But the first question is okay, so for the space, the question was explain why good and bad deeds are like an we can still function perfectly. Something
It's still functional and for us it's still so therefore it's functional perfectly well. So same for good and bad deeds.
in an estate.
So,
You say they're like, that's really big, because.
yeah.
And the goodness or badness is coming from the thing, when you actually.
If you guys want to read on the
The perception that's forced on me from my father. It's getting brought out into reality, which is like a place, according to the Buddhist teaching. Everything is kind of interact with and say it's good or bad. Is that what, or like a mirror, you just say, and we're just being forced to experience it. And it's great, like it's just a finger to perceive emptiness. Emptiness. Right, and that's kind of the illusion that things seem to have an nature. It seems like a cup, and then when I eat the cup, so I still be a cup, like without being still all cup in this way. But actually, I am the reason that I sit up. So when it says why, did you say something? Okay. So, when we look at it, let's look at their bad deeds. The first part is like, okay, but their illusion time that they don't have. That's not necessarily true, because it's like a bad deed, so so like, if we punch you in the face, that is cool, so I'm gonna punch him in the face, right? Still going to hurt him, and I still record myself as taking pain, like in my mind, yes. Over time, not as larger and larger. So, one way to think about it, there's actually three things. The illusion, that's why it's important. And then it's the way it says, we have the power. Giving it. What this person is every single one of those. The fact that it's not that they don't recognize why this works. Yeah, I mean, it's not that they first of all, it might not feel easy for them, but how do you know that having the same for me is that's all having different projections, right? It varies. So the answer key says the good and bad they work just as well as we thought they did. Before we found out so whether or not we're talking about illusion and whether or not we're positive and realize it's still the deed is still the good or bad deeds are like illusion. The person doing that the deed itself and the object of the deed. So we talked about it as far as the but in addition, I like the way I enforce on myself. Another sort of thing is perception and object is action.
I should kind of remember.
I don't think this is like we're being able to
You put that on the thing that
you do. They
like this thing.
function
This is the thing that like
will produce a good result for you.
It's like if we slowed the whole process down, you would see the step by step.
Or it's so if you put your
These cause you to
here,
do that,
it's
these
based
like
on
that.
cause you to experience yourself.
So,
Okay, but that's different.
basically,
You
you
like,
have,
do I want
your
to buy
emotions
a
are your feelings about something, and then you express
So
it.
any way I want
And
to
that sense is and then it's a struggle for so you walk around and you feel suffering. So
like,
it's fantasy, you must
I don't
see
know.
the result of it, and you
Yeah,
start to
of course, everything else like that. Yeah, like what's the feeling after that? Like good, like yeah, like you come into the world. Yeah. That's a really
No
good
Buddhist
point.
school agrees that there is a the middle way says that they're further neither
It goes to that, and then it goes to
the whole of them.
like,
Why is it the case that we're not seeing all of our various parts?
Well, does that mean you keep their
Not
being more and more? Keep those.
Sorry, how did you say that? Like, is that Buddha or is that Nagarjuna or is that Shantideva? Sorry.
We have 6 parts of like. It's like thousands of. What are you calling? So if I switch, if I
Most of the parts of a person, so the image of the whole, parts of the projections towards the planet. Does that make sense? That is some of the parts.
Intended to do it, you didn't know about it.
I didn't actually remember.
There's a
Yeah,
difference.
the mental potential
Doing it
of
really.
two grasping
You're
yourself
self-aware.
not
Person, you're right.
I think it's good, especially like, I'm just,
then
like, it's term.
the next
But
one.
like, you didn't even, that's the thing about the feelings, and, all of the bad reactions.
Right?
One of them is the real nature
Even
of
for
the
it, and then feel right, and then people sometimes like, who's all
The last, the six, you're looking at the 6 part, it was a very bad
And then
mind.
also you went from like, oh, like you because I
So the first one is you come in already with stuff from before.
Yeah.
The next thing.
This
about-
and let go of that, that's the last.
You have ignorance things are here. No, you have ignorance, you have that vibe. The three things appear.
Those are the things I don't.
Right? And then, based on that appearance, you like and dislike. And then, based on that like and dislike, because they appear like they have a nature, because you're affected with ignorance, then you are attracted or unattracted. Yeah? That's the one that sounds the same, they sound similar. Appearing thing, this one you are attracted. One is about the thing and one is about your movement. And then based on your movement, you take action. And that keeps you going. Yep. He's trying to break it down in 30 seconds on it.
Oh, I would.
When you-
That's how it's.
The second question is related to success process described by Maitreya, which links the failures of perceived
Okay.
success.
Yeah.
So how can we use positive
Do that. So.
Yeah, okay, this is just how you have it's like a different, habits of mind. You kind of have the mind, you know, everybody, she thought, there's broken doors. We already have this potential. When we are bored, we already have that 6 7 bits. And then the next one is, okay, the tendency to hold that our ultimate reality lies in the reality of the second one is, these things ripen and cause you to have too much distraction yourself with cool. And then the third, these cause you to focus on nice things, and that's the mistakes the city of our. So we're bored with our tendency.
That was sort of funny.
And then we focus on things that we like, and then things that we don't like, and don't even read. But, and then that is the ignorant, like,
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm just.
So then now you're. Is that
But you know you're wrong, and that's the
First
thing.
thing. Yeah, you think everything that makes sense? Yeah. But then I remember saying, like,
And you have.
Saturday, that thing, that's happened to you. So obviously when that they come back to the normal trigger, they kind of figure out they start to figure out all those various things that make and so because of that intention, and also like as you were saying, like the little things that get planted.
Well, that's actually the next thing. I really naturally tried that one.
Right.
But if you like go back, you still got to actions like God do something to actions that create that karma for you. So like if I don't like this kind of spirit, I don't know. Let's say like you're on the subway and someone like severe damage, like no one was in the room.
Name the two forms of
you didn't even, it's the best that I need for you to say, oh, it hurt you, I didn't like it, I don't like that, it's just not being you're like, and then you go out and have to. And I am
one of them says, yeah, 3 parts of the answer that in response to this.
You're right.
Why does the non-Buddhist opponent in the 9th chapter say that the person is the
all those things together.
And then
they say that the person is the by that moment. As such, there would be a experience
I said that, I'm like, wait,
why does the non-Buddhist why does the non-Buddhist opponent in the 9th chapter say that the person is talk about
Are you on the third question? We'll know that today, so we can do that. Can you bring one of the napkins from the restaurant? Oh, you know, like those handheld things. I'm noting it. Are you close? You guys close?
One more question.
You know you're almost winning Buddhism. Sorry, they won it, but you're almost winning. You're doing above and beyond. Beyond enlightenment. Yeah. That's good, you're doing bonus questions. How was it without having this dinner class? Okay, cool. They're debating it, which is really good. Nearly everybody was explaining the rejection thing.
It's not the projected by your verdict. So what is that?
It's really good.
Huh?
A plant is really good.
That's a new one.
Right? If I do care.
Murky buckets.
But unless I have the projection, if I think I'm underrated, unless I have a projection, now I don't.
No, you're who I think I am. You are.
So these are all the extra
You done?
Okay.
You're allowed to do that. We'll do that.
I said that the world like I don't think larger particles are
That's a good question.
Physical and mental, and the idea is that neither physical nor
You guys done?
No, because we all have different projections.
Me?
Final question. What is the real nature of this? We just went over it.
Blessings. Thanks for saying hi to Daniel. Yeah, okay.
Or we create the positive.
I just from now on. Right? But yeah, you can, but let's don't forget.
Well, that's actually like the point, right? So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the range. Nature is just moving and close to on your mind. The nature of you. Not who you really are. Well, that's what we call that, image object. We call that. Can be, depending on what you mean by nature. Some people mean other things. But my mind sometimes they mean the real meaning that things
We haven't really used it yet. Huh?
the mind has the perception.
What, like?
Sarah, you ready? Let's do it. Oh, this is good. These are good. This is what a nose. These are raisins. Pasadas. Son pasas. Ready? Jeremy, can you heard them or something? With compassion. Hi, Courtney. Okay. My job, if I do my job, if I do it right, is to try and get these concepts from being too heady and weird to actually embodied in you. So I'd love you to think about who you think the hell you are. Who the hell do you think you are? Yeah. Coming here to a Buddhist class. The point is, every single thing that we are, we do, we engage with, has this quality. And Master Shantideva, the author of this book, and the point of the book at this point. He's saying, dear beings, if you want to continue suffering, perpetuate the illusion. Really think things exist out there like you're being forced to perceive. That'll continue your ups and downs without end. There is a way to break free from that because of the fact of emptiness, and that's all wisdom means. Wisdom means understanding things don't have the nature you think they do. So he's saying if you don't understand emptiness, you will continuously do the happiness trap, trying to grab that and grab that and grab that. And in that action, because your motivation already has a mistake in it, it will create a broken result. And that's why things break down. Undoing that misunderstanding, undoing the 6-step process that Maitreya discussed in the text, will get you to see the nature of things as they are. But even these words, you're listening to them with the misunderstanding. Even the delivery of wisdom is misunderstood because you think it has some nature. So it's impossible. If you look at it from the old point of view, there's some other maneuver you have to do that you haven't done yet. And it's not dependent on the right sequence of words, Hector says, and it's not dependent on the right sequence of sitting down for meditation. It's dependent on, if this is true, it's dependent on how much kindness you've shown to other people to wake up and understand their world. Because like all seeds, they grow. It's dependent on your virtue. If it's true, so it's all if, right? Buddha said, don't trust me, dudes and dudesses. You got to figure it out for yourself that this is what I see reality to be. This is gravity. And if you do this, you can fly. It's not like, I think I'll invent gravity. It's not like that. Gravity is. This is. It's not, but it is. So it's not like Buddha said, oh, let me think of a nice way that reality could work, and then we can play with that. It's not that. That's a mistake already. He said, I'm sick and tired of things breaking. I want to stop them. And so at every turn, he just went deeper and deeper and deeper and went, oh, I saw the mistake. Now I've got to get to fix it. And then he's like, you have to do these things inside of us to fix them. And if it's true, what he said, if it's true, gravity is. If this is like that, a fact, that we are just constantly projecting onto otherwise blank potential, and that's what creates our reality for real, then you want to cause your enlightenment, all you have to do is try, really try, to every being you encounter, rats included and cockroaches in New York and so on, to behave in a way that will plant the seeds in your mind for your projector to echo back, amplify, because tiny seeds give big results over time, amplify wisdom, realization, bliss, and all the qualities that you want out of your existence. All the qualities of a being completely, permanently free from the ups and downs. And so he's saying if you don't understand emptiness, it doesn't matter what action you're doing, you're creating more of the happiness trap that is unhappiness by nature. And it's not like some heady idea. We're talking about you getting a disease and dying. Like all of us will get something. So long as we've got this body in the way we're perceiving it, it's broken. Bye-bye. Yeah, so long as you grab the boyfriend thinking they're making you happy, you're screwed. In a figurative way. Yeah?
It's screwed right away.
Yeah. Sorry. So Master Shantideva here is going, okay, you understand the illusion, you understand the mistake, that awesome thing about his book here, most people know his book for the kindness, the compassion, the 6 perfections, patience, giving, all these chapters. But really, he's got mastery of the foundation of all that, which is wisdom, the fact of emptiness. And so his chapter is like really difficult, and people debated whether he said this or that or whatever, because of the stories that he levitated so far, and it's so much wisdom that people didn't have the karma to see it, so he looked like he disappeared. The stories. They found him a year later, and he's like, oh, I left a copy in the rafters of my bedroom, you can go find it. So the story is like filled with this myth about you've got to find this wisdom. But the bottom line is, if you apply this wisdom that understands how things really are, then whatever you do doesn't have the mistake in it. And doing that activity is counterintuitive to the way we think we have to get happy. Because you've got to get the job, and you've got to get the career, and you've got to get the boyfriend, or the girlfriend, or the pills, or the alcohol, or the thing, because that makes us happy. Now, this is not to say you can't do any of those things. You can have an experience of those things as blissful or terrible, not dependent on the thing. And so understanding this, in this chapter, Master Shantideva goes deeper and deeper and deeper, trying to corner us into understanding that we can do something to transform normal into enlightenment. You, not some idea, you, just him. No. you have in you the capacity to transform whatever shittiness you don't like about you, because that doesn't have a nature. The you today is nothing like the you 10 years ago. Were you happy there? Are you happy now? Well, whatever you're now is going to change if you don't know what caused it. And he's saying you can cause it. Now, the awesome thing about, like, I'm going to summarize the summary of the summary, but the awesome message here is because things don't have a nature, because there's nothing under the sun that is by itself the way it appears, and we proved that with the whole pen thing now, I'm assuming most of you know that. Because of that, we should get busy planting just the right seeds that will produce the result. That's the theory, yeah? And in our culture, that's really difficult. But what about Tibetan culture? 1,000 years they got to practice this. Aren't they close to enlightenment? And this, I want to sort of fix a myth, yeah? I went to Nepal, I went to the edge of Tibet, and I met monks and nuns and Buddhist scholars. And they do have a kindness about them, they're minimizing of grabbing for themselves, they share, they're kind, but there's a difference between doing that out of faith, because mom or grandma did it and said so. If you go and ask a bunch of Tibetans or Nepalis, why are you sharing the candy? Then it goes, oh, it's good karma. Oh, good, what's karma? It's good luck. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying there's a culture that grew based on this philosophy that is ingrained in the culture, and they are more likely to be kind and be nice, and they're going to have positive results. But if they don't understand the wisdom that makes it function, that in itself will deteriorate. And so here comes Master Shantideva going, it's not enough to follow mom's orders and say, be nice because nice is nice. It's going to be good luck. At some point, if you don't really understand why you're being kind or compassionate or going against your impulse, if you don't understand why with reasoning, with logic, that the world is coming from me, so I've got to put in me what I want it to project, that's a different kind of understanding of why I should be kind, even if she's being a complete bitch. Sorry. Yeah? Even if she's being terrible to me, the terrible must have come from me being terrible in a smaller way before. I'm sorry, I have to be nice. Not because mommy said so, not because it's a nice thing to do, but because I don't want the bitch appearing in my life again. You see what I mean? And by the bitch, I mean inverted commas. You know, the bitch that is appearing this way, but it's only coming this way because I understand this. So with reasoning, I just don't yell back. I'm not bitchy back. Now, isn't that uncomfortable? Isn't that horrible? I didn't do anything to deserve bitchiness today. So why should you be bitch to me? I was so good today. And so one of the things that he covers here, and I'll just shortcut it, is, and Arya Nagarjuna does the same, and so it's referenced. This terrible thing about the time lapse between planting a seed, doing an action, letting it ruminate, grow, take root, and all of a sudden, pop, you have a large result from a tiny seed. That takes time. If you don't have that time, if we received the results of every action, if this is true, cause and effect being mental cause and effect, projections being whatever I've done to others is the only thing I'm experiencing. If there was no time lapse, then as I step on the rat, my ribs begin to shrink and I let go of killing. I stop harming. If I lied to you about, you know, you should lend me some money because, and I'm sitting there going, I need some money and I've got to trick him. If my bank account started dropping as I'm lying about money, I'd stop. I'd be like, let's think about making you money. Oh, bank account rising instantly, right? If there wasn't a time lapse between my actions, the essence being my intention behind the actions and the result. But because we're stuck in this time lapse, that's what happens here. You can't get an apple tree bearing fruit instantly upon planting a tiny apple seed. You can't do that. That's just the law. Like if you hit something, it takes time to travel with that energy. That's just cause and effect. Our minds are not immune to that process. And so there's time for the ripening to arise. And if it wasn't there, he's alluding to it, we would be completely moral. We would be completely kind. We'd be forced to. If thoughts had the power to produce an instant result, you wouldn't sit on the train going, stupid bitch, to the person across from you. You just wouldn't do it because the person next to you would be like, you're such an asshole. I'm like, whoa. So you'd stop your thought, you'd force your thoughts to stop. Yeah? Oh, I wish you tripped. Boom, your face on the ground. You wouldn't do it. You would be trained like a dog to be moral. And that's the link between morality and all these religious practices. It's not because here are the 10 commandments, be nice, mommy said so. That doesn't do anything. People try to be nice with the wrong intention. Oh, have a nice day. That you're going to get that as your result, not the words. Someone's going to come to you and go, oh, have a nice day, Hector. And I'll be going, bitch, why'd she do that? You know, like, because that's in my mind. I put it there. She didn't. So there's a huge difference between faith, you have to be good Buddhists, okay? Okay. And understanding it for yourself, because then that will dictate your actions. So a shortcut to knowing what to do, if you want to practice this, which I don't know anything else to practice anymore. I tried all the other things, most of the other things, all the things on the rat race. We've tried them, right? Keep going if you want. We've only done it for millennia in different forms. Or if this is the only thing that liberates you, wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it make sense that even if everyone around you is in the rat race and you yourself diligently began practicing what you do to others is what creates your reality, your own reality would begin to transform to a point where you get free from that. But if they didn't do it, why would they experience a freedom from suffering? You would see some bliss or some beauty, and they would see some suffering, or they might see you as a weird person or a crazy person, or, oh, why is he so chill, or whatever, and you'd be in a kind of bliss. So the person next to you right now could be having some kind of ripening based upon their virtue, And you have no clue if you don't have the seeds to perceive them that way. I don't know if that was to him. Yeah. Whew. Real causality. So in your examples, we got, I think it was question 4, something about who's the real me. And in the book, he starts going, okay, let's find the self. Let's find me. Yeah. What is the emptiness of me? Because he shifts the discussion. We all now basically understand things don't have a nature. The pen is not the pen. It's a chew toy for a puppy, or it's forced upon us by our seeds. We all got that, right? Yeah. We did that last time. We did that every single time. So let's assume we understand that. He's like, okay, at some point it will pop up in your consciousness. Wait a minute, you're tricking me. What about the raw data that sits there? It might not be a pen, but isn't it a cylinder? Ha, I got you, Buddhists, right? So some of us have thought that, and so he goes there. He's like, okay, let's go look at that, or look at us. So I just want to share with you the summary of that discussion. The emptiness of us is like the emptiness of the pen. It doesn't have a nature from its own side, right? Because puppy dog sees it as chew toy, we see it as pen. It, separate to a perceiver, can't be either by itself. But it becomes pen and it becomes chew toy dependent on the beings present. Fair? That's the emptiness of me. Me, this cylinder with meat, yeah, moving parts, and all the other parts, like the mental part and the physical, is Hector, the person. I am a person. That's me. And so he's like, okay, what about the arm? Is an arm an arm? Yeah, is the mind a mind? So he goes in there. So he talks about the emptiness of me and the emptiness of the parts. He's like, okay, let's go look at the raw data, the thing that makes up a person. So he's like, here's the whole, here's all of us, right? This is me, the person. Yeah, I was dressed up as a chicken. And you go, is me there? Is that me, that outline, that thing, is that who I am? Is it findable there? And we said, like a pen, no, because for some people, for a wolf, that would be food. Yeah, a big wolf. And and for others, it would be a human. Fair? In a chicken soup. So, okay, let's go find Hector, or me, the person, in the parts. Can we find this essence, Hector, in the leg, or in the chest, or in the head? Is it here, or here, or here? Is that popping up? Yeah, it is, right? So you can't say the leg is Hector and not the rest, right? You can't say that's Stephen, the head is Stephen. But yet, we tend to have I know it sounds silly, but we do it when we start getting operations and going, I have gangrene, don't cut my hand off or my leg off, right? That's me. And at some point, our body flips and goes, if I keep it, I'll die. Get the shit off of me. That's not me. And then you are legless, and you're like, oh, it's still me. So it couldn't have been in the leg. So what are you? Everything except your legs. So it makes us check in, where do you think me, the real me, comes in? Well, that's a good question too. People say that, right? Some Buddhist schools say that. And then it's like, okay, let's go to the raw data. Let's go to the actual parts of the meat, the material stuff. Is that what it is? Is it this kind of cell that makes me me? What's the answer? Really, when you go digging, is that what Hector is, that cell? No. It sounds like a silly argument, but he's eliminating, thanks to Ari Nagarjuna, these 7 steps of trying to find the person. So I'll go really quickly through it so you can be more confused. Here is Ari Nagarjuna, yeah. And superimposed person, or me, or absolutely anything under the universe for cart, right? So it's like, let's look at a cart, like a car, yeah, cart wheel, no, wagon, a wagon, thank you. So just like the chicken, it says, is cart the parts individually? And what's your answer? Is that what cart is? If I put all the parts individually, is that what cart is? What's your answer? No, it's not a card. Is it something other than all those parts? It isn't, right? Just go with it, okay? Is it something that is the card something that sort of sits on top of all those parts together, right? And that's a silly answer. He's just doing silly answers so we get cornered, yeah? Is it something underneath all the parts, something that supports them? Is that card? Got to think, right? Yeah, no. Is there some magic that supports all these parts and go, there's a card? It sounds stupid, but he's got to eliminate that. Is this thing that we call card the possessor of the parts? Is the analysis. And you can substitute person. Is this the possessor of Hector? This and this.
We say like my card
We say
mirror.
we say that, but so if this was the possessor of Hector, the Hector that we know, then why wasn't this here when I was 10? Yeah, is it 5 fingers that possess a Hector? If that's true, then every 5 fingers must possess a Hector.
But your mind is there.
You're adding mind, no problem, we can go there, yeah? This is the one that really always got me, because so far, in the arguments in the book, he's saying not that, not that, not that, not that. And here's the one that he says, not this, and I went, objection, okay? Is it all the parts together that makes it the card?
You think it is.
Who's perceiving?
Well, if one of the parts is the idea of it altogether.
That's the real answer. That's the Majjhimika answer. But he's going, some Buddhist schools say, in relation to this line, if we grab all the parts and put them in a room, separate, that's what they say Master Nagarjuna's meaning. That's not what he meant. He's like, here are all the parts, the collection of the parts together.
If they're assembled a certain way and someone perceives it as...
That's the real answer, correct. And then the last one is it all the shapes? But out of those 7, that 6th one is a problem, because now you've come to understand, if you've been in these classes long enough, you would go to that answer. Because just like the pen, there is a part, an unnamed part, that is necessary for cart to be cart. And what's that unnamed part?
Its functions.
No, it's not its function.
The perceiver.
The perceiver, because cart for human functions like a cart.
But that's why we label it that. That's how we perceive it.
That's how we label it. That doesn't make it separate to our label and perception, cart. Right? And that's what he's trying to get to. It's not cart until, and then it is cart, completely functions like a cart. It's a perfect cart, and it totally works as cart for humans. Right? Yeah, it's a death trap for the animal caught under the cart wheel, who doesn't call it cart, or a human, right? No, but a human would say, validly so, I got run over by a cart wheel.
Right.
Yeah, but a bug will not say that. And it's a valid perception for a bug to experience this huge thing, not as cart, because all the parts together are the cart, but not by itself, separate to a mind that is forced to perceive it as cart or death trap or whatever. And here is the trick. So he's getting us to that point to say, understand that Master Nagarjuna is like, if you think that cart is a self-existent thing, if you think that parts are self-existent, existing out there like Maitreya's explanation, then it's not a cart, it can't be a cart. And so yes, with that perspective, all the parts together by itself without a perceiver can't be cart. So that's correct in that answer. And he says it here, someone can read it. Steve.
Neither my teeth, nor hair, nor nails are me, nor am I the bones or blood, not the snot and not the phlegm, not the lymph or pus. Neither is myself the fat, the particles, nor the lungs or liver me.
So he's saying, like the cart, you can't find you until you are forced to perceive this collection of parts as me, including the consciousness, the stream of consciousness, the thing that says, I have this pattern, these thoughts all the time, these feelings, that's who I am. I am a dancer, I am angry, I am happy, I am. Yeah, the mind continuously adding story upon story that wasn't there all the time. It's moving all the time, but there's something in it that we keep labeling it me. So he's saying it's not the parts until your mind is forced to see it. So you might have a question.
What feel like critical parts? Because you're not you without a heart.
Oh, I'm not me without a heart?
Well, you cease to be alive.
True.
What about in the there's the formless realm.
No, it's not even, you don't even have to go there. Like, what if you had a heart transplant?
Yeah.
You know, I was actually thinking, like, if you were in a coma, then all of the parts would be there, but you wouldn't be perceiving yourself as you. And then if you say, oh, well, the mind isn't there, okay, that's fine. Then what if you came out of the coma and you had complete
All of a sudden,
amnesia, and all the parts were there, and the mind was there, but the label saying, I'm Rachel, didn't exist. And I think that's what he's talking about there.
I'm giving you data for you to chew, to question that, because what you said is true, right? Like, this thing would be dead. Would it cease? This thing that I am? Because we think it's solid. You think you're solid. This is not saying I am not a person. It's not saying I am not a person. It is saying you are only a person because you are forced to see a person. It's an inside-out way of looking at the world. It doesn't say things don't exist. On the contrary, it says the only way they exist is being forced to perceive them a certain way. The only way they exist is because minds perceive them a certain way. So he goes deeper into raw data. So if you were to ask, why is it the case that we are not the sum of our parts, your answer would be, based on what we summarized. Yeah, until there's a perceiver, then you can say it's you, but it's not by itself separate to your perception.
But you perceiving your meat counts as a perceiver, right?
Yeah, but it's saying, what if us thinking that there is something in a heart separate to a person labeling it heart, that's not a heart. But it can't be a heart. Does it function like a heart? Absolutely. For whom? For those that have the seeds that are forced. It's not by choice. You're not sitting there going, I am making phone, I am making computer, I am making person. Yeah. From last class, we know it's this projection, like literal projection on impossible things. It's impossible that this is a plant by itself. Why is it impossible?
It's not coming from that.
It can't. As soon as you start digging, whether you break it down into parts or break it down, it's not a plant for everyone. It can't be. If it was plant, it would, and it was only plant separate from all of our projections, it would never change. It would be plant, exactly the same plant, same leaves, plant, never changing. If it had a nature of plant that forced every being to perceive it as plant.
And chemically and atomically, it's the same materials, but just to say that the materials, their assemblages are only them because we're perceiving.
It's interesting because even the materials, so he goes here, right? Let's go person. I'm going to go materials. Yeah. He's like, well, what is the ultimate raw data that we think of? We think for our physical part, so that in Buddhism we divide a person into mental and physical. For our physical part, what's like the two great divisions of a person is physical and mental. What's the smallest raw data we believe exists for the physical part? Like an atom, right? And that'll be the translation. They'll call it smallest particle. Right, that findable, pointable, smallest particle we think is that. And some schools of Buddhist thought have come to believe those really exist. And really is a code word for by itself, separate to me. Yeah, self-existently. And we're pushing, or Master Shantideva is pushing our boundaries to go question the atom. What about for mental moments of awareness? Sorry, that would be the smallest. That would be the smallest particle, if you like, the smallest breakable. What?
Even electrons can be smaller, but similar.
Right, exactly. Yeah, similar. Yeah, you can go down and down and down. So for mental moments, we could say our mind is this thought now, this feeling now, this awareness, that, this and that, this and that. An awareness, like an idea and gone, a feeling and gone, whatever we call mind, you could break it down into moments of mind, like we break down physical into atoms or electrons and so on, right? So the smallest particle or moment of mind could be a moment of mental awareness, yeah? So he's going to say, okay, that put together makes up a mind. Yeah, so he goes there, okay, let's go there. Is that his mind over here? Is it his mind, this whole stream of thing? Or is mind, in fact, in this moment or that moment? Because you can break down yesterday's thought, today's thought. Where is mind? Is it in that moment or is it in the next moment? So he starts digging deeper and deeper and deeper, like an onion, layer upon layer, until we get to realize that you can't find mind in a moment of awareness, and you can't find body, physical being, in an atom or the smallest particle, electron. Why is that? Why would it? What would be the reasoning that they don't exist in the way we think they do?
This goes another step, but when you experience emptiness directly, you come beyond all that.
Yeah, he's pushing us, mind, to go, you bastards think there's a body there, right? Good, let's go find it. Is it a leg? Okay, what's in the leg? Atoms. Okay, what's in the atoms? Electron. Yeah? And then he goes, okay, let's look at your atoms. Ultimately, it's what we said, it's your projection upon that idea or concept or object, yeah? But you can, even for an atom, you can go to the bottom half of the atom and the top part of the atom, if it's matter, if it's a piece, right? So then it's not the smallest thing, it's got a half. And then you can go to the bottom half, to the left of the bottom half, or to the right of the bottom half of the atom. And then you can go to the bottom of the left half of the bottom half of the atom, and the top of the left half of the bottom half of the atom. Infinitum. You will never find atom. Just like you can't find person. Just like you can't find pen. He's like, you can do this exercise until you die. And I tried it for a couple of years. Right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to try and meditate on the emptiness of an object. And then I break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down. I'm like, shit. Okay, I'm going to try a different object. And I'll break it down, and I'll break it down, 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 I'll break it down. And it feels like you can never find it. Why is that the case? So for mental moments of awareness, it's the same. As soon as you think of the bottom left-hand side of the atom, the bottom, the
beginning of the moment.
Yeah, and it's the same for the mind. Yeah, you get the beginning of the moment. If you catch the moment of awareness, you got the beginning of the moment of awareness, the duration and the ending of the moment of awareness before another moment of awareness starts. And when you look at the beginning of the moment, the beginning of the beginning of the moment of awareness, and the middle of the moment of awareness, etc. So infinitum, yeah? So as soon as your mind begins to conceive of these things, they are. Now, again, this doesn't mean that things are not existent. They are existence. And in fact, that's this and this and this and everything is exactly that way. Thinking otherwise is the mistake. Prove it. things keep breaking down. There's not enough love pills that I can take to feel love. If there was love in the love pill and it wasn't dependent on my labeling, then everybody that had the love pill would be in love. Yeah, if there was hydration in the liquid, everybody that had hydration would be hydrated. Some people can't. They'll vomit it. Something will happen. They can't. So the big question comes, what is it then that makes it real? The fact that the charge behind all of these realities is your mental projections. And if you get that, then you begin behaving in a different way to test it. Because you're not supposed to just believe it. If you get that aspirin works not because it has some active ingredient, because the same active ingredient sometimes takes away headaches, sometimes doesn't. It ain't in the aspirin. Does that mean aspirin doesn't work? No, I just told you that. It only works if you've got the charge, which is, have you taken care of other people's headaches in the past? And if you've got that charge, aspirin will work. If you don't have that charge, you can take as much aspirin as you like, your head will explode. That's the theory here to play with until you internalize it and see some result. If there wasn't a time gap, we wouldn't have class. If there really wasn't a time gap, we wouldn't have class, and we wouldn't have to find Arya Nagarjuna and Master Shantideva to say, come on, get to see this because it's your ticket to freedom. So at every level, without end, it will feel like this. When you go looking for the parts of the part, it will feel like this. Now you go to the emptiness of the mind. Bottom of the left hand of the atom, top of the left hand of the atom, left of the bottom, and meditating on this would feel a little bit like this too. Okay? And you look at your world a little bit like this all of a sudden when you get an insight. You'd realize that's how you've been looking at the world all along. So does that mean that nothing is real?
No.
Prove it. Does it mean that just because things don't have a nature, that we're forced to experience them in a certain way? What's the really difficult intellectual proof that things are real because they're a projection?
Because if you walk in front of a bus.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Yes. That's it. That's the big difficult proof. You are experiencing reality. But we just went through the logic of why things don't have a nature, and the things that make up the parts of things that don't have a nature also don't have a nature, and the things that make up the things that make up the things that don't have a nature also. You've just gone the infinite regression, but the fact still remains, in fact more so, that they only function, because not everybody that gets run over by a bus gets hurt. Some people bounce nicely. What made that bounce? It's the same bus. Made of rubber. What made you made of rubber and not the other person made of rubber? You see what I mean? Like there's some cause beyond the atoms and the moments of mind that are forcing us to have these experiences. And this is the real game. This is the real game. This is the key to freedom. So, you ask yourself, what's the point of digging so deep at reality in this way? What is the point? You tell me.
You can create anything that you want and destroy anything that you want.
I'm glad you said that. Everything is up for change. And here is the crux, including this perception of birthing and being and humanness and aging and deathing. It's all really a projection of your mind forced upon you by your past deeds. And nothing else. And that's what makes it real. It's inside out for us. We can't hear it. That's what makes it real. Otherwise everything would be what it is only for everyone, without exception. There'd be no differences of opinion between animals and humans and humans and humans. Everything would be tree, true toy, unchanging. And that's not the truth. The truth is things are changing.
Another reason, what's the point? Instead of the word real, it makes it useful.
Yeah, that is the only reason it functions. So if you're going to get to the root cause of what makes things function, why make them function broken?
Right, so it makes it useful to how to make our lives better.
Yeah, so we can have
Happiness.
this kind of experience. I don't know if you've seen that movie. What is it? The Fountain? The Fountain? Is that? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The Fountain.
Hugh Jackman. No, what's his name? Hugh Jackman. Hugh Hackman. Yeah, no. Some people are divided. So the point is, because things are a projection, let me tell you this. You are extremely fortunate beyond your belief to have the seeds, the virtue to project even this shitty reality you're in. Compared to all the living creatures on the planet, insects, animals, including fish in the sea, who are birds in the sky, creepy crawlies, humans throughout the continents, you landed here. Oh, I'm going to a Buddhist class in Manhattan. Nice shower. I'm going with my shitty subway. Even our problems, our luxury problems, are not really that bad compared to the multitude of humanity who is today looking for food, looking for shelter, looking for protection. You have clean hair, if you're lucky enough to have it. And so this is telling you that didn't come from nothing. You did stuff. Or some bastard before you with a different name or an earlier version of you did something to force these projections, if the theory is right. And so what are you doing to maintain, grow, or change that projection? Because it's not going to stay this way. It's the lottery. When this resets, look at all of existence, all of living creatures on the planet, and you have one chance in all those many to be any of those, and some you don't even imagine. That's caused by us, by our intent, if this is true, that we are forced to experience clean water, healthy body, not dying yet body. Yeah, I mean, it's true. We don't even think about it. So the uplifting thing to me about this is, yes, you can plant the seeds to transform everything. The other uplifting thing is, why is it the case then that with this understanding, this worldview, suffering must end for every being? Why would the suffering thing, the broken thing that Maitreya said, that misunderstanding that things have a nature which causes us to act stupidly, which makes things go away when we want to heat them, and things coming back when we want to push them away because we're doing the opposite, we're planting the wrong seeds. Why is it the case that that misunderstanding will eventually break down?
If you get this, you'll perceive everything.
Yeah, because this reality, the broken reality, is actually based on a misconception, on a mistake. And truth will always win. Like a truth breaks, disintegrates a mistake. You still need to activate it, but the truth of gravity overrides anyone's wishful thinking that they're going to overcome. It doesn't matter how good they get at jumping. Gravity wins. Except, no, I'm going to get to verse. Yeah. In other words, emptiness, the correct view of what the world is, where it comes from, the fact that things don't have a nature, metaphor diamond, metaphor wisdom, is the antidote to everything you've ever disliked about your life, ever disliked about the government, ever disliked about your community, ever disliked about your history, ever disliked about anything. Your mind, anything, it's the antidote.
So every single being will eventually become enlightened?
They must. They must. But how long will it take? What will it take? They need to engage with emptiness, with this correct view. It could be.
There's no knowing.
There's no knowing how long, but eventually it must win over the mistake, because it's a fact. But it's not uncaused, it's still caused. It's still caused.
Are there other practices?
How do you mean?
I don't know.
There are a million practices, but they're all based on the understanding that things don't have a nature. And I'll cover the last two parts, and you'll see what I mean by that. You know, like, how many practices are there? Infinite. Like, there's yogi practice, there's meditative practice, there's active practice, be kind, write a journal, meditate upside down, dream yoga. None of that works without this fact. All of it works because of this fact, whether you know it or not. Things fly, suspend in gravity, because we understand how to engage with gravity. If we didn't, they would fall. Every deed you currently do must have a result, because things don't have a nature, and you're putting in your mind the imprints of your actions, and as that grows, you must get that result. But you think it's in the aspirin. So you could be stuck in that cycle, like my trainer said in the last class, for as long as it takes for you to wake up. Now, if what I'm saying is true, when this body ends and we still have misconceptions, we will be forced to continue this cycle until we break it with a deep, ingrained, experiential understanding of emptiness, the ultimate antidote to a broken realm. This will be seen as a cylinder that is made of meat at the moment. It could, in a millisecond, be seen as a cylinder that has no life in it, perceived as a dead cylinder. And then the mind would perceive this extension as a pole, or, if the causes are right, as a brilliant, enlightened body. It isn't any of those. It is dependent on what I've put in here. So the practices, all of those practices, will give you results, but only because of this fact. There's no other reason for them to give you results. There's no meditating you can do because of meditating alone that will give you a result. Sitting silently isn't the cause of you having a peaceful mind, because you could be sitting silently going, God, I hate this is terrible. Look at me, I'm a bad meditator, I can't meditate at all, here I am. Everyone's looking at you, you're like perfectly still. And what are you planting in your mind? I'm a bad meditator, can't meditate at all. What must be the result of that? You're a bad meditator, you can't meditate at all. And when you look at everyone, it's like, oh, she's not meditating either, and he's an ass. But you're just putting that in your mind, and that's all you'll be forced to experience. This doesn't do anything. you're putting imprints in your mind. Your mind also doesn't have a nature. And if you want to get trippy, emptiness is empty and so is karma. But that's another story. There's one thing that at the end of the text, or towards the end of the text, you get this idea of a gotcha, the thing that we deny, the thing that emptiness is empty of, the thing that doesn't exist. And when you said about all these practices, there are different views, different understandings, layers of understandings of what the Buddha taught when he said karma, or dependent origination, how things are, emptiness, and the thing that emptiness is empty of, the gotcha. And I'm interested in just the bottom one, the one that we've been talking about non-stop. The others, for those of you who went to class, it's just a reminder for you that things are, whatever they are, dependent on what you're forced to perceive through your projections. That's what dependent origination means there. And emptiness is the fact that this isn't what you think it is by itself without your projections. But the gotcha, the thing that it's empty of, is that existing without a projection. That couldn't happen. It's impossible. So the big question is, why even bother identifying a thing that never existed, doesn't exist, and could never exist? A thing that existed separate to my projections. What's the point of even conceiving of that if it doesn't even exist, if it doesn't help us? And what's the answer, do you think?
We go around thinking.
We go around, and also if you don't know what you're looking for, you're never going to find it. So what's this text say? Someone read it.
One would never be able to grasp how something was devoid of being a thing without encountering that thing it was which one imagined it to be. For this reason, the fact that the deceptive thing is not a thing is something really
I just completely love this. He's saying, you want to find a chair in this room? There's one, there's a chair. You know what chairs look like. Let's go looking, there's a chair. You want to find a cushion? Oh, let's find cushion. There's a cushion. Found a cushion. Cushion. Find me fan. Okay, there's a fan. Find me a thing that doesn't exist at all. What would that look like? And in this theory, it's a thing that existed separate to my projections. A phone that would be phone by itself without anybody perceiving it as phone. That doesn't exist, could never exist, has never existed, is as unreal as a two-headed purple elephant. You can conceive of a two-headed purple elephant, but you can't find it, right? Can we all conceive of a two-headed purple elephant? Good. Now let's look for it like we look for the chair. Is it there? No. Normal-sized elephant, two-headed purple. Is it over there? No. But do you have a picture of what you're looking for that you can't find? So understanding what an impossible thing might look like will help you be very clear there's no purple two-headed elephant here. Are we all together with that? Is anyone seeing that? Because if you are, you should probably get medication. Right? No purple elephant here. No two-headed purple elephant. So we can be certain that that does not exist. Can't we? Yeah. With the same, with a phone that could possibly exist without my projections, or a flower that would exist without me calling it flower, labeling it flower, forced upon me by my past karma, or a person that could exist separate to a perceiver saying there's a person. Those things don't exist without a perceiver. That's like a two-headed purple elephant. The fact that we know what it would look like, what would a phone look like without beings calling it phone? What would a phone look like without beings calling it phone?
Can it be something that, if I said something that exists without a cause?
Yeah.
It'd be the same.
Yeah, something that came about without a cause. And that's when you looked at dependent origination, there are different schools that interpret this whole thing differently. Like the lowest school says a phone is a phone, not because of my projections, but because it's got the causes and conditions of a phone. It's made of metal. People dug up metal, put it in phone. It has glass and phone. It has electronics, has electricity around it. All those parts together, all those causes came together. People worked and did and made foam. And that's true to a nominal way of thinking, but it's not ultimately true because it ain't a foam for the elephant. So the highest view of that is something that came about without the cause. What's the real cause? My projection forced upon me, mum. That's the real cause. The other one's also true, but it's limited to humans. Hence physics. You're like, yes, there are atoms for humans.
And God is
Yeah.
also?
God?
Yeah.
We have to define God, okay? So if you're, that was a whole other class, okay? If God is a creator of everything, right, made everything, I'm assuming it's a he, unless she's a black woman, which I'd really like her to be. In the God that I understand, and the God that they debated in previous classes, God is creator of everything. He's all powerful. And he's all loving, compassionate. And the Buddhists say that can't exist. That a being with those three qualities, impossible to exist in accordance to this world. Either they're not all powerful because they're not stopping children being raped, or they're not compassionate, they can't do anything about it, so they're not all powerful, or they don't care because they are all powerful, they could stop it, but they choose not to. So those two qualities can't exist with this reality. So that's one argument, and that's hard to hear. It was hard to hear for me the first time because I thought I was doing something blasphemous. And then the other argument is, hold on, creator of everything, is he a thing? Yes. Did he create himself before he was there to create himself? Impossible. He can't have been there before he was there to make himself there. So even that logic, they say that doesn't work, but forget that. How about try compassionate and all powerful? Now, if by God you mean some force that creates our experience, then that's something else, and it could be in accord with what we're talking about. There is a potential in everything. If you call that God, then that's another stuff. And something in us is forcing to have these experiences dependent on our virtue or non-virtue, then that's okay. But I don't know, some people call that God. Depends who it is that's asking God. The old bearded guy in the sky that swings the thing from the fluffy cloud and says, I won't give you cancer, I give you cancer, sorry. Yeah, you said nice prayers today, but I didn't care, but you didn't. That kind of God, impossible with being compassionate and all powerful. So that's a whole debate. Yeah, big debate.
Is love also?
Interesting question. Are you talking about experientially? Like from the experience of love?
Well,
The intention will deliver you the exact same result as the intention. So let's say she was angry at me and I managed to just love her. And so my mind had the intention to love someone. It is going into the depths of my mind. My mind doesn't have a nature. It's moldable depending on the stuff I put in there. I must later experience my mind experiencing that love that I planted before towards her, from other people.
So it's also a projection.
Yeah. There's nothing that's not a projection, including projections. That's what makes them real. Don't think that that's what makes them not real.
There's nothing that's absolute.
There's nothing that's absolute. Except the fact that nothing is absolute. So, the bottom line is here, we're just a bunch of parts, yeah? Moments of mind, or bits of bodies, collections of memories and traumas and love and hatred and happiness and unhappiness. We're just a collection of parts. If this is true, we are constantly building story upon story that I am just this human, I'm just this thing. Just on the collection of moments and parts. Right? And if it's projections that creates that, and we've just proven it through this chapter, he's done it in a much better job than I have, then it's also possible to project my virtue as enlightened. like this collection of parts. Doesn't have to be shitty Hector that can't explain things. It can be, oh my God, I just said the perfect words and everybody understood it. Because it doesn't come from the words. It doesn't come from the parts. It doesn't come from the parts of the parts. It comes from an impulse projected upon us based on what we've done in the past. So all you do from now on is anything is a practice. Everything is a practice. From drinking to, I'm drinking nice juice. I'm drinking horrible, disgusting green matcha. That's what I'm being forced to perceive. But I don't have to ride that echo. I don't like matcha, but it was an offering from someone. So I'm getting the flavor. It doesn't have a nature. I can find that it doesn't have a nature. It's a little tangy, and then a little sweet, and then a little nothing. I've broken it down into parts. I'm going to imagine that I am drinking the loving offering of a person who really wanted to get Dharma tonight. So I'm drinking my matcha. My impulse is to dislike it. My action, my karma, my planting is to absolutely turn it into nectar that will dissolve misunderstanding for me and the person that gave it to me. That's it. I drank the matcha. Did I like it? I can't say my tongue liked it, but I had a mini meditation and transformed what it will become later. I made an offering of something in my mind, and that must give me a result.
Do you think also that you can change whether or not you feel high caffeine or full, or like the physical effects of it?
Yogis can develop those skills in the moment, yeah, but that's a bunch of practice. It is also nothing but your projections being forced upon you by your past karmas. The fact that you can, in the moment, transform something is also a projection. The fact that I can learn quickly is also a projection. I can learn slowly, it's also a projection on this mental continuum. I can do this, like some people have agility. That didn't come from nothing. Some yogis can have, they can move their winds in a certain way quickly. Others don't. Where did it come from? Planting the right seeds. The habit of seeing and experiencing the world that way gives you pliancy until you are forced to experience yourself in that way. Of course. Can people walk on water? If you have the seeds, of course. Can Jesus save you? If you have the seeds, of course. But is it out there? Separate to your perception. That's what this is getting to. And that you all have. The power to shift the stuff that goes into your mind, because it's the only thing creating your reality. And with that, we get to offer it up. So I hope something reached in there. It was a really difficult chapter. I can't believe you sat there quietly. Steve, let's create. Look, this imprint. So now you understand why the hell we do mandala offerings, right? Are you really having a universe in your hand? No, it's just stupid hands with the fingers looking weird. Can you imagine a perfect universe that reaches everyone? Yeah? Where is that imagination going? In the depths of your consciousness. Things are empty. You just planted some seed of everything being perfect. That functions. That works.
Sashi Buddhi
Jishin Metotram Rira Vinci Ninde Gimpati Sange Shindu Mite Luardi Drohun Nanda Shinla Shiparsho Idam Guru Ratnamandala Kam Niryatayami
Kewati
Dilofu Sunam Yeshe Soksokshin Sunam Yeshe Junwe Zampa Kunito
deeply grateful for you letting me ramble my attempts at wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you.